Hey, you guys, it is Nando and Alex back again. Okay, check it out. We're so glad to be back. The holidays, everybody, all the promotions took time off to be with their families, which is rightfully so.
Mhm.
They put in a lot of work all year long, and they need that break to spend with their families, enjoy Christmas, New Year's, and all that good stuff. But I'm telling you, Nando and I have gone through withdrawals, baby. But we've got a special show for you. A lot of the best of and year-end shows, they came out right away. We saved the best for last. All right, so there you go. And Nando, he's got a lot of information that we're going to talk about today of some of the best for the year 2022. So this is our year in review, Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Welcome everybody, and Nando, take it away, baby. What you got for us?
Okay, we had a great year. We had 42 events, 13 were pay-per-view. Can you tell me what weight class had the most fights?
Oh, the weight class. I'm going to say welterweight.
Welterweight? Welterweight was 62, but the most in was lightweight was 66.
Wow, that surprises me.
And
66.
featherweight only had 4 for the women because Amanda didn't defend her title. Now, the next question I have for you, there was 19 title fights, and 9 title changes. What 4 champions kept their belts?
What 4 champion? Oh, come on. You're not supposed to put me on the spot.
Yeah, no, I'm hitting you with the stats. We're going to go through.
Oh, my goodness. Who kept their belts? El Germain, Eljo. Gosh. Let's see. Who else? Whew. There's a lot of changes. I can't think. I got one. What do you got?
Francis defended his belt in the beginning, and then he was out all year. Volkanovski.
See, that was a long time ago. Okay, Volkanovski. Okay.
And then Valentina.
See, I was thinking them, and I really was, but I was thinking they haven't fought for a long time, so it was getting lost in translation.
Well, then technically Amanda didn't defend her title all year for featherweight.
Yeah.
There was only 4 fights.
Okay, so that, in other words, that was a trick question.
Well, yeah. I didn't add Amanda. Amanda would have been 5. I didn't add Amanda.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then, Nando.
Okay, here we go.
How many championships changed hands?
I just said it, 9.
Oh.
9 title changes.
Check out the stat man.
Yeah, I'm kidding you with stats. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about the best KO. I have 2 best KOs. Now, mine aren't going to be what you think are the normal KOs. My 2 favorite are both liver kicks. Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France. He was losing that fight, but then he came back and kicked him right in the liver. And the other liver kick, do you know who that was?
No.
It was Irene Aldana, and it was an up kick, which nobody had ever seen. An up kick, body kick.
Yep.
So who would be your favorite KO of the year?
Those are relevant though, because most KOs are not by the body. They're knockouts. And so when you kick a liver that hard, I mean, right, the liver, if you hit a liver just so, it shuts your body down. The thing is, here's the bad part about a liver kick, okay? And then I'll tell you my KOs. Here's the bad part about a liver kick is you're still conscious, feeling all that pain. When you get knocked out from a head strike, you're snoring, literally. You're snoring. Yeah. So you're going mimes, as we say. But a liver kick, you're totally conscious. Oh, feeling that pain. I'm going to have to say one of the ones that I really, really liked that shocked me was the Chandler, the Chandler.
Ferguson.
And that one just came right up the middle. and it was like picture perfect, spot on. So I have to give that one my KO of the year. And then I'm going to go with the Kai Kara France liver kick, because that one just folded him like an accordion, man.
Yeah, he had that fight to win.
Yeah.
I mean, he was losing that round, but he was going to go back, and it just, and then it solidified that Brandon Moreno has to fight for the title again. How many times are they going to fight for the title? I don't know, but
well, I think if Brandon Moreno knocks out Davidson, I think there won't be another one. There won't be another one. I think if it's a drawn out 5-round slobber knocker, there could be another one. And if he gets the decision, if it's close, I think there could be another one. But yeah, good choices. All right, what else we got?
Okay, now with the KOs, I'm going to say the fastest KO of the year was Chidi Nakomi versus Marc-Andre Barat, and that was 16 seconds for this year. So submissions, what would be your favorite submissions? I'm going to tell you my two favorite. Lemos versus Andrade. That standing arm triangle.
Yep.
And then where did I put it? And Weili Zhang versus Esparza, because she got her in a crucifix and she also got her in a rear naked choke. And I had never really seen that before. I've seen the body triangle where they grab the arm, but I've never seen her do it like that.
Now the Mitchell Twister, that wasn't in 2022, was it?
Oh, Bryce Mitchell? I'm not sure. I would have to look back at that. I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. I think it was in 2020 or 2021. That was an amazing submission. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Lemos. That standing, I mean, nobody had ever seen that. I hadn't seen it, at least. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but that was a hell of a submission, man. That was a hell of a submission.
And the fastest submission this year was Sadiq Youssef over Dan Shannis, and that was 30 seconds. And that was an armbar, I believe.
I'm trying to remember that. Oh, yes, I do remember that fight. Okay, very good. 30 seconds?
Yeah.
See, that, I mean, you take however many seconds they turn to come and dance for a minute, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and it's a submission. Wow.
I think it's more impressive a submission being fast than a knockout, because it's one punch or a series of punches, a blitz. So the next thing I'm going to go is the biggest rivalry this year. There was a lot of people talking crap to each other. There was a lot of stuff. And I know you're not going to think it was this year, but it was Colby Covington versus Masvidal. I mean, this guy was talking about his wife, talking about him not paying child support. It was not a good thing. And then it didn't end well. When you call somebody out like that, the fight's over, but it's not over for Masvidal.
It still isn't over for Masvidal. He's going to be he's going to be paying some bank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest, not rivalry, but the biggest heated up exchange between people this year was?
I'm thinking somebody that hasn't even fought. Okay, and that's Henry Cejudo. He was trying to pick rivalries with everybody.
Oh, he was the troll of the year.
He was picking fights with Volkanovski, Aljo, Jan. I mean, you name it. The list went on and on. O'Malley. I mean, come on, man. But I do want to. One knockout just occurred to me, and that was Caceres knocking out the boy.
Bruce Leroy. I had that unmentionable. Julian Erosa.
Yeah, I was. We bet, and you picked Caceres, and I picked Erosa because Erosa was my boy, and he got slept like hard. So that was another KO for me of the year. Okay, let's get back to your thing now.
Okay, so let's go on to the best fight. What do you think the best fight was? There was a lot of fights. There was a lot of back and forth. I mean, memorable mention was the Stephen Thompson versus who did he just fight? Holland. That was a good fight, but it was a clinic for Wonder Boy, and it brings him back in contention. But I don't know if he can beat anybody in that top five.
I think it brought him back from the dead. I think if he would have lost that one, he would have fallen into the Sam Alvey realm, right?
Oh, I'm gonna bring up Sam Alvey in a minute.
So I think he would have fallen into that realm of maybe just being a fun fight, and collecting some paychecks, but not a contender. I agree with you 100%. I don't think he's going to be a contender with the top five. He looked good, looked really good, but they did kind of agree to certain rules themselves, not taking each other down and that kind of a thing. And I don't know that that's a good thing for fighting. And they're cool with each other and all that, but I don't know when you kind of make a shake hands and a wink wink and a nod. I'm not sure I was down with that. And Holland got a lot of criticism for that too. He got a lot of criticism from Bisping and all these commentators, DC, for doing that. He should have taken him down and beat him up on the ground, and but again, it is what it is, right? And that was a really good, super exciting fight. Nando, to be honest with you, there were so many good fights. There were so many fights that had me screaming at the TV. Even for that classic meme of Joe Rogan, stop the fight. There was a couple of those. I was screaming at the ref, because somebody was getting just pummeled. But you're going to have to fill me in because I can't.
Okay, there's a lot of the top ones. I picked kind of ones that other people weren't bringing up. The Poirier Chandler I had to bring up because Poirier Chandler, I'm a Chandler guy. I don't know how many fights he can do before. Yeah, well, yeah, that type of style, and and still be a contender. He's got to get a fight that's gonna get him a win, and he's got to not be so reckless. But that's why we like him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's fought some of the guys that he needs to fight like that against. He already fought Gaethje. He fought Poirier. I mean, he needs to fight someone in that top five if he's even still in that top five.
What about somebody that's not in the top five? What about him versus Conor McGregor? Would you
Yeah.
watch that fight?
Yeah, I think Conor McGregor, I think that would be stylistically a good fight. It would be similar to Conor versus Chad Mendes.
Okay.
So I think that would be good. And then the Hamzat versus Burns, I liked because it proved that Hamzat wasn't just going to take people down, that he had a chin. He also kind of didn't do exactly what he should have done. He should have stuck more to the plan, but he wanted to swing, and his cornermen were super upset with him. They were like, "You know what you're supposed to do. You barely won that fight. You really shouldn't be gloating that much." I'm trying to think of other. I mean, there was so many great fights this year.
Oh, there were tons of really, top caliber, beautiful acts of violence, man. So yeah, I'm glad that you at least were able to pick some out because to be honest with you, I I purposely didn't watch other podcasts that had the best of because if you look at them, a lot of them they were all identical. So the stuff you're bringing up is like fresh, much appreciated, and you're throwing me off because you're going in a different route, but it's relevant. The fights that you're bringing up and the reason why you're choosing them, you're not just trying to be different to be different. Okay, because a lot of them, I'm beginning to think that a lot of the websites, the MMA websites, they all get their same articles from the same source because they read identical. It's like why go to all these different sites if they all have the same info, same pictures too? But the stuff you're bringing I really like, because when you brought up that liver kick of Kai Kara France, man, I'm just like, dang, that was vicious.
Yeah, it
So
was a great it
yeah,
was a great knockout.
yeah, let's
Now
keep going.
you
I'm
brought
rolling.
up Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey didn't win a lot, but he did break a record. He tied with BJ Penn for the longest winless skid without being without being cut. But I think he's cut now.
Well,
So now I want to
let me tell you
go
why
go
I
ahead.
think he got cut in, and I don't think it was because of the skid. Okay, I think Dana White and Sean Shelby and those guys really liked Sam Alvey, because people love to see him fight. But I think the real reason why they cut him, they had to because of the skid for sure. But he shouldn't have lasted that long. What was it? 8 fights.
8 fights.
So he shouldn't have lasted that long, 8 or 9 fights. But the real reason, I think, they saw him getting damage, and they didn't want him to have permanent damage, because he was taking a lot of head strikes during that skid. He was taking some big, big head strikes. And I think they just were concerned about his health and his mental well-being after the fight game is over. And I believe that's the reason why they did it.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the biggest upset. So, what do you think the biggest upset was? Do you think it's the Leon Edwards? Do you think it's Yuri? Do you think it's Alex Pereira? Do you think it's something totally different?
I think the biggest upset was Kamaru Usman, because he had defended his belt so many times, and there was really nobody to do that. And Edwards was losing that fight.
Yeah.
He was definitely losing that fight, and that kick came out of nowhere, and there was no telegraphing. Because if you watch, I watched that a couple of times in slow motion, and as Usman was like dropping away from a punch, and it was almost like the Caceres thing. Caceres did almost the same thing. He dodged one, he missed a punch, but then that kick came right after it, man, and knocked Rosa out. And it was almost the same way. But if you watch it in slow motion, he goes right into, so his momentum and Leon's shin bone on his head, it was like perfect timing, and knocked him out. He was out before he even hit the ground. So yeah, I think that's the one that was the biggest upset, because I mean, how long had it been since Leon fought? He had the biggest run of bad luck, next to Dominic Cruz. He was
I'm trying to think
injured.
what his last fight was. Was it Masvidal or was it Covington?
Leon
Covington, right?
Edwards. Leon
No,
Edwards.
no, Leon Edwards. Yeah,
Yeah,
Leon Edwards' last fight was Nick Diaz. And everybody gave him such crap because he
yeah.
won that whole fight and Nick Diaz hit him that one time and wobbled him. And then he starts pointing at him, which Nick Diaz could have possibly
He could have ended it.
not won the, I mean, if he would have knocked him out, he would have won, but
Yeah, yeah.
he could have really poured it on him and it would have, he still would have lost by unanimous decision, but it would have been, he would have won that round. And
But
then it would have been worst.
Leon Edwards, I mean, he had a string of bad luck, and I'm not talking injuries like Dominic Cruz. Nobody suffered like Dominic Cruz, in my opinion. But visa issues, passports. I mean, all kinds of stuff. COVID, you name it. Everything was against Leon Edwards, and for him to come out and beat a sitting champion who had won. What did he defend the belt? 5 or 6 times?
Yeah, 5 or 6 times. He was about to break
Yeah.
GSP's record.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere he sleeps him.
Yeah.
That's the biggest upset. And then what was the other one that you had?
No, I had Yuri. Yuri was close in that fight, and I think Glover just gave up. Then Pereira over, but I think the Pereira, a lot of people saw that as he was losing point wise, but he was still assertive and aggressive the whole fight.
Yeah, he wasn't getting beat up. He was losing on points. I agree with you, but he wasn't getting beat up like he's barely surviving.
Yeah, and then when he got to that point at the end, and he could empty the gas tank, it was not good for, and the Izzy fight. We'll have to see what happens with Izzy and the Kamaru Usman. They're saying that his hand is broken. He might not fight when, what is it, London?
Yeah.
So who do they put in? Do they give Leon someone he can beat? Do they give him Masvidal when he really shouldn't fight Masvidal?
I don't think they should give him Masvidal. The one they need to give him is Covington. But if they want him to stay champion, Covington will beat him. I think if he gets him on the ground, he'll beat him. But again, it's that stylistic fight, right? If Covington can take it to the ground, he's going to win. If Leon Edwards can keep it up, because his striking looked pretty good against Usman, it looked pretty good. And we haven't seen Covington for a while, so we don't know how much his striking has improved. But I think you might be right. I know Chael Sonnen saying give him an easy fight that they'll know he'll win, so that they can have that rematch with Usman.
You never know, though. I mean, it might be the same thing where they told Holly Holmes, take an easy fight, take Miesha Tate, and then Miesha Tate won, and then Usman's back at square one fighting a guy that he's already beaten twice.
Yep. So yeah, that's but I think they will. They're not going to wait for Usman. They got to give Leon Edwards another fight.
I think they should give him. They should give him Bel Muhammad, because Bel Muhammad fought him and got eye poked and lost because of disqualification. I think it should be Bel Muhammad of all people.
But he's the one that will beat him for sure.
Bel Muhammad?
Muhammad is unstoppable, man. Look at his last fights. Seriously, he's won like 5 or 6 in a row, and he's beating some top dogs. He's beating some tough dudes that they really didn't give him that much of a challenge. The last guy was the wrestler. I'm trying to remember his name. Gosh dang it. And Bilal just
he was training under Khabib. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's the guy from Philadelphia.
Yeah. And Bilal put on a clinic. He busted that. He snatched his soul, is what he did. You could see him. It's like, whoo. That one dude that does the animations and the ghosts come out.
Oh yeah.
That's what happened to that dude, man. I think he's the most dangerous for Leon Edwards because of the eye gouge, and then his win streak. I think he's the most dangerous. I don't think they'll give him Muhammad. I don't think so.
Okay.
What you got?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about prospects. We're going to talk about people that do we think they're going to do well? Are they going to get 2 or 3 fights going? So I have Raul Rosa Jr. The guy did really well. Bo Nickel, Paddy Pimblett. Now these ones are from the Ultimate Fighter, which I thought they would have already fought by now. Juliana Miller, which just won the title. Brogan Walker. And Mohammed Usman. Do you think Usman, with that weight class, he can get in the top 10 if he has 2 fights? Do you think they give him someone unranked and then somebody in the top 15?
No, I think they'll give him 2 more. 2 more, not in the top 15. I think he's because, like you said, styles make fights. And so I think they have to pepper him with some different styles so that they can see how well-rounded he is or how good his grappling is and his ground and pound, because you can have a striker that's really good and elusive at the same time. If you can stick and move, it's hard for a grappler to get you down. It really is. And so I think that's what they'll try and test him, because I know even with Bo Nickel, he must be injured because he hasn't fought for a while either.
No, he's supposed to fight the guy he was going to fight. I think it's March.
Okay.
He had a fight, and then something happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he got injured somehow. And I can't remember if it was a hand injury or not. And those are really difficult to overcome, like Usman,
Mm.
Kamaru, because you're training. I mean, even if you're hitting pads light or hitting a speed bag or hitting a heavy bag, if you got broken hands, broken bones in your hands, that's hard to heal because you're trying to get back in there. I'm feeling good, but you don't know that it's completely healed, and you hit a bag wrong or you hit an opponent wrong. And like you said, you're back to the drawing board. You're back to square one, and you've got to nurse it again. I think those guys go through it a lot, but I think the most hope that the UFC has from their perspective is Bo Nickel.
Bo Nickel.
Yep.
I think, but Bo Nickel's what, middleweight? There's a lot of people in that top 10, but I think they're going to give him the guy they gave him, and then if he can come back, they'll give him somebody that's older that they can platform him off of. Because if he runs through the sky in March, they want to kind of push him, but don't push him too much.
Well, he's finishing guys so quick, you can't get a sense on his skill set, you know, and that's always scary because when you start bumping up to the top 15 and you got some real dangerous guys there, they can make him look like, the UFC made a mistake in bringing this guy on board, and you don't want that. You want to build him up. Plus, it's only fair to him. You don't want to throw him into a pool of sharks, before he has a chance to, fill himself out and start to feel what it feels like to be punched in the face and not being able to take a guy down in 30 seconds, right?
Right. So what do you think of Raul Rosa Jr.?
I like him a lot. He's super dangerous. And he's a tough dude. His only thing is he's not memorable. He is in the ring, but he disappears after that. And he's got to develop some kind of persona. Because a lot of it is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Nando. A lot of it is you got to have that WWE mentality to a certain extent. You can't just get in the octagon fight and then disappear, because they look at everything now. They're looking at social media. How many followers do you have, And a lot of that determines who you're fighting. Look at Sean O'Malley. He turned all of his followers into big, big fights.
Yeah. Yeah, he turned, and now he's waiting, and he said, I'm just going to wait for the title. Now Cheeto's fighting Corey Sandhagen, and he's gonna wait and see who and now it's him and should be Aljamain versus Cejudo, and him and Cejudo are just going at it back and forth. They're already planning when they're gonna fight. Cejudo's like, I'm gonna finish him, and he's like, yeah, you just finish him real quick, and let's get back in the octagon and start fighting each other. And Aljamain's like, hey man, I'm beating people over here. You guys aren't saying I'm good enough.
But see, but look at them. Look at these guys putting themselves in position. Cejudo hasn't fought in 3 years or whatever, going on 4 years maybe, and he's going to fight Aljo for the championship. Well, that's because he's talking smack. He's, like you said, one of the biggest trolls. But you got to make yourself known. So Usman, he's got to get into that mindset of making some waves, even if it's in Brazil or wherever, that he's coming from. He's got to get those people behind him and get some chatter going, because these guys that are talking, O'Malley, Cejudo, who else is talking a lot of smack, making waves and making fights,
We got 9 more minutes, so I want to go into the fighter of the year. Just like you said, Volkanovski, I think, is the fighter of the year. He went through Max Holloway, he went through Korean Zombie, and then they didn't want to. He said, I'm going to be the backup for Islam versus Charles Oliveira, and then he flew himself out there. He made weight. The whole time they're saying, no, he's not the backup. The backup has been Dariush. He shows up, and now he's fighting for the title. He was in the crowd just hanging out. Islam's like, he doesn't say Dariush. He goes, bring that little short thing over here. And now he's fighting for the title because he did everything he needed to do. He kept his face in the spotlight. He kept on saying, I've already finished all these people, and really, he's not supposed to win against Islam. Islam has everything to lose in that fight. He's a smaller guy, but it might be the BJ Penn versus Matt Hughes where he's too fast for Islam.
Well, I'll tell you this. I am going to kind of agree with you. But the other name that I want to throw in there is Alex Pereira. And the reason being is because he came into the UFC in a short period of time. Okay.
4 fights and went for the title.
Kept his eye on Izzy the whole time. He's like, I'm coming for you. You could almost hear the theme from Jaws whenever that dude was around. It's just like dun, 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 dun. And as a fight drew near, when they actually got the fight with Izzy, people were going crazy. They're going to go, is he going to lose again by knockout? And he lost again by knockout, to Pereira. And now people are saying, well, Pereira's got his number. So what I'm saying is, and a lot of fighters that have been in the game much longer than Alex, they're like, well, he's jumping the line. He's jumping the line. Well, because there was money to be had and a grudge to be settled. And he fed off of that line. He fed off that line. He was constantly nipping at Izzy when Izzy said, I'm much better now. He ain't got nothing on me. And he just kept nipping. And then he got under Izzy's skin. He did. And Izzy's one of the coolest cucumbers in the fight game in Pereira, but he did it silently. That's why I use the Jaws thing, is because Izzy's like, and he's like doing this thing, and all of a sudden he goes, dun, 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 dun. He starts looking around. But Volkanovski, yes, clearly, I believe is a fighter of the year, because who can stop the man? He's fought the best of the best. And he's put on great shows. He had a couple of stinkers back, a while ago, but nothing major. But when he beat up Max Holloway like he was a redheaded stepchild, Max was not in his league anymore. He had leapfrog Max, and that should have told you a lot right there. And he still respects Max, that's pretty cool. And that's a great champion right there. That's a great champion who is confident in himself, can do the things that are necessary, gets himself into one of the biggest fights, changes weight classes, fighting a dude that's is he undefeated?
Who? Islam?
Yeah.
No.
He's lost one, right?
He lost one by getting knocked out.
Yeah.
He got knocked out in the first round within a minute.
So Volkanovski, he's not afraid of anything. He doesn't back down. He's not overly cocky. He's respectful. He's a great champion. So, but if you ask me for, the one that I would just pull out of a hat, I would put Alex Pereira up there. But Volkanovski, I agree with you, should be and is the fighter of the year, in my opinion.
Is any of these champions going to win their title back? Is it going to be Brandon Moreno? Will Usman get the Leon fight and win? Will it be Izzy versus Pereira?
See, what do you think? I think that, they're so good. All of these guys that you just mentioned are so good. It can go either way. But, what's interesting is you've seen these fights like, was it Max Holloway, Volkanovski 3, where everybody was saying Max was robbed on number 2. He should have won that fight. And Volkanovski says, okay, let's do it again. There'll be no mistaking this time. And he went out there and murdered the guy. I mean, it was ugly. I didn't like to see that fight because Max. I like both of them, but Max, they should have stopped that fight because his head was getting rattled.
Yeah. And usually statistically, whoever wins the second one wins the third one.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know. So you have any final thoughts on this year?
All I can say
Any,
is, Nando, it was a fantastic year for fights. There was controversy. There were mismatches, not as many as in previous years, in my opinion. I thought the matchmakers did a fantastic job putting on fights that were stylistically pleasing. My biggest thing, I'll tell you this. If we had a category for this, and I do like the way you did this, good job, by the way. But if we had a category for this, it would be the card of the year. Which card was the best card? And I'm telling you, that's a real difficult challenge to even figure out, because there were so many sleeper cards that were, you know, just at the apex or whatever. And it didn't matter if you had no names on there. There were cards that were just like, you're screaming at the competition is so fantastic. So there were a lot of those.
yeah,
Because when we review the fights, I tell you, this card I think is going to be an exciting card. And when you get like, 9-10 finishes out of a 12 fight card, that's crazy, man. So
yeah,
that's a difficult category. But if you had card of the year, there was a whole bunch of those too.
yeah.
What's your final thoughts?
My final thought is it was a really good year. This was our first year doing Knuckle Sandwich together. I think it came out a great year. I think this next year is going to be big. Will Jones come back? Will, the Islam Volkanovski fight? There's a lot of fights in the horizon. Will, Connor? I think Connor comes back before Jones, and I hope this is the year of Chandler. I mean, I'm a Chandler fan. I like the way he fights. I like Gaethje. I like to see Covington fight. Those are people that are needle movers, and I think we need some of those guys to come back and start fighting.
I agree 100%. And by the way, for Christmas, I got Poirier's hot sauce, man.
Oh, how was it?
I haven't tasted it yet. It's still in this package. I don't know if I wanted to open it or yet. I think maybe when we can get Poirier on the show, I'll do eat some chicken wings with him and do the hot ones thing. So I'm looking forward to trying that. And I do want to remind everybody on January 22nd, Nando and I will be on site with 4 to 5 Krav Maga, and we're going to do podcast, but we're going to do much more. We're going to do demonstrations, all kinds of cool stuff out at their gym. And Nando's going to be wearing this suit, man. He's going to have a camera on his head. We're going to get some POV stuff going on. And but it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're super excited about that. So we want you guys to stay tuned, like our videos, like and share us, because we are working hard for you guys. Nando, I want to thank you for putting in all the work, getting those statistics for us, and wrapping up 2022, because that's a lot of work. So thank you for doing that. This was a great conversation. I had a blast. Anyway, so thank you. And thank you guys for watching. Remember, like and subscribe. Knuckle Sandwich MMA. We're coming at you.